In this video, we're going to actually make the snake be able to die. So I'm going to run into a wall right now, and the game should stop, and the snake's head turns red to indicate the game is over. It also would hit its tail. I'm not going to do that for you. I'll show you. You'll see that in the videos. So we're going to edit the snake object and the game panel class today. In the snake, all we need to do, we need to implement two methods and edit one method. So we're going to implement is out of bounds and hit own tail, and we're going to change draw slightly. In is out of bounds, this is a method that's intended to be used by the game panel class to check whether or not the snake is in fact out of bounds. It'll also be used by the snake object to determine how it should draw. So all you have to do is return true if the snake is out of bounds. And I'm not going to tell you anything more than that. There are 4 different if checks that you need to be performing to make that happen, so I told you a little bit more. Alright, in hit own tail, this one, you are going to check the snake's head's rectangle position against the rectangles contained in the tail list of rectangles, if that makes any sense. So you're going to need to cycle through, iterate over the entire array list of tail rectangles, of rectangles called tail, and check if any of the rectangles intersects the head rectangle. If so, you return true because it hit its own tail. If not, you return false. I left such a long note here to explain why it's a little bit wacky, or hacky, wonky, whatever. There are better ways to do this method than the way I'm going to ask you to do it. It works, but imagine this. A person... Well, okay, so the problem with our tail is that it is overlapping with the head. If you can imagine that. Like, if the snake is going 3 pixels per loop, the snake's head is only 3 pixels ahead of the first tail object, and that means it overlaps by a significant portion. So we can't check the that portion of the array list. So there are better ways to do this, but they involve a little bit more effort than I felt was worth showing everybody or having you try and figure out. I would like it as a challenge for you to figure out a better way to implement this method. But for the time being, I would just like you to skip over the portion of the array list of rectangles that likely overlaps with the head. And we can do that. That's the purpose of the tail start variable, because it kind of just keeps track of like whatever. It doesn't need to be there, frankly. It could be a magic number, 5, 10. Just kind of test it out and figure out what works. Like I said, there are better ways to do this to guarantee that it will work. But for the time being, just cycle over the array list from the first element, which represents the end of the tail, right? Index 0 represents the end of the tail, and then go up until like the tail array list dot size minus 10. So don't check the final 10 elements or something. And then check each rectangle against the head rectangle and return true if any of those are in fact in contact. Otherwise, return false. And I can help you with this one if you're struggling with it. So, but it basically just involves like cycling through an array list of rectangles and checking each rectangle against a rectangle that represents the snake's head. Then, in draw, you want to, where is draw? Oh yeah, I didn't even write this in yet. So, to do video, what is this, 6. In this one, you want to, if the snake has hit its own head, or tail, or is out of bounds, we're just going to draw like a red square to indicate that the game is over. So like, if the hit own tail, if the snake hit its own tail or is out of bounds, draw, set the color to red, and fill a final rectangle with that color at the snake's position, Okay, and over in Game panel then. Once you've done those three things, you're done with the snake class for this video. Over in game panel, we're going to edit check collisions. And you can see that there's a to-do for video 6 here under check collisions. So you're supposed to check if the snake is out of bounds, not is out of bounds. If the snake is out of bounds or has hit its tail, set the value of running to false. So all we're going to do for the time being is just quit the game loop. So if the snake that is out of bounds or if the snake that hit its own tail are true, then set the value of running to false. And that's it. All right, on to the next video.